Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring a topic that I find absolutely fascinating. Convergent evolution. It's basically this incredible phenomenon where you have unrelated animals ending up with super similar features.
Right.
Because they've adapted to similar environments or lifestyles.
It's amazing. It's like nature has this playbook and just keeps using the same tried and true solutions.
It's like hitting replay on evolution's greatest hits over and over again.
Exactly. And it really highlights how evolution is about solving problems. You know, when different species face those similar challenges, like how do I catch prey in a really dense forest?
Right.
Or how do I survive in this crazy hot desert?
Yeah.
Natural selection, it tends to favor those similar solutions.
That makes sense.
Even if those species are on totally different branches of the evolutionary tree.
So it's not just about what they look like, right? It's like how the way something is built is connected to what it does.
Precisely. Form follows function. And we have a perfect example of this with the Tasmanian wolf.
Oh, yeah. Now, you might think, wolf, that's a canine, right?
Right, a dog.
But the Tasmanian wolf, they also called it the thylacine.
Okay.
It was a marsupial.
Whoa.
More closely related to a kangaroo.
Really?
Than a dog.
So it looked like a dog, but it was more like a kangaroo.
Yeah, it's why their skull is like a classic trick question in zoology classes.
It's so wild.
Because the shape of the skull, their teeth, the jaw structure, they all look remarkably dog-like.
Yeah.
Because for millions of years, both the thylacine in Australia and canines all over the place, they were evolving to be super efficient predators.
Oh, that makes sense.
Same job description, same tools.
But hold on. Aren't marsupials supposed to be more primitive?
Oh, that's a common misconception.
Than mammals like dogs?
It's not about one being better than the other.
Yeah.
It's about finding solutions that work.
Right.
In their environment.
So they both diverged a long time ago.
A long time ago.
But they've just been doing their own thing.
Yeah, constantly evolving.
So in this case, becoming a successful predator
that led to basically the same outcome.
Pretty much.
Even though they came from different places.
Totally different ancestry. Think of it like two chefs making the same dish, but with different ingredients.
Oh, I like that.
Same result, different paths.
Yeah.
And it's not just limited to mammals. Have you ever thought about rhinoceroses and rhinoceros beetles?
Okay, now you're really stretching it. What could those two possibly have in common?
Think about the function defense, competition, looking tough.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Whether you're a beetle fighting for territory on a tree or a rhino facing down a competitor,
right,
a horn is a pretty good tool.
So even though they're vastly different in size,
totally,
that same pressure, that need to fight,
to defend themselves,
that leads to the horn solution.
Evolution loves efficiency.
Nature's just like, hey, this works. Let's use it again.
Exactly. And that efficiency pops up again and again. Look at the South American paca.
Okay.
It's like a sturdy rodent. And then the old world chevertane. It's this small ungulate, kind of like a deer. Both of them have that compact body, strong legs, perfect for moving in dense forests.
So same environment, same lifestyle, similar body plan.
Exactly.
Even though they're not even close relatives.
Yeah.
It's like nature has this toolbox and keeps reaching for the same tools.
Absolutely.
To solve the same problems.
It's remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah. And speaking of problem solving, some animals have really perfected the art of rolling into a ball, right?
Oh, yeah. The masters.
Like armadillos.
Classic example.
Yeah. It's such a good defense mechanism.
It's hard to argue with that armor.
I bet not many predators can get through that.
You're right. And you know, speaking of armor, there's this funny mistake in a historical medical text.
Wait, what? A medical text? What were they doing with armadillos?
Well, it mentioned using an armadillo as a pill.
As a pill?
But it turns out it wasn't talking about the mammal we know.
Oh.
It was actually referring to woodlice.
You mean those little roly-poly bugs?
Exactly. The ones you find in damp places.
That curl up when you touch them.
That's them. And it kind of makes sense because their Latin name armadillidium, it means little armadillo.
Oh, that's funny.
So both of them, the woodlice and the armadillos, they evolved that same rolling up defense.
So you're saying those tiny bugs are convergently evolving with armadillos?
It might seem strange, but that's the beauty of it.
They seem so different.
Right. But they both landed on that same solution, even though they're incredibly distant relatives. It gets even more fascinating when we bring in their distant cousin, the pale millipede.
Wait. Millipedes are getting in on the action, too.
Absolutely. They even have glomero in their name, glomerus, which means I roll into a ball in Latin.
Oh, wow.
So we have the woodlouse, the millipede, and the armadillo all doing this incredible convergence thing, all because this simple defense has worked so well for so long.
So rolling into a ball, that's a real winner.
Tried and true.
It's amazing to think about this one strategy showing up in such different creatures.
I know.
But how do we know they're not just closely related? Couldn't it be a shared family trait?
That's where things get even more interesting. On the surface, they look similar. But if we dig deeper into their anatomy, their genetics, we uncover their real evolutionary history.
So it's like they might look similar on the outside,
Yeah.
but their underlying story,
Their deep history.
it's totally different.
It's like peeling back layers of an old manuscript, similarities on the surface, but different stories underneath.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. This is like a detective story for evolution.
It is.
And we're just getting started.
We are.
It's clear we've only scratched the surface of convergent evolution.
Oh, yeah.
What other fascinating examples are out there?
So many. From the sky to the ocean, convergence has shaped life on Earth. In fact, it even touches on something we humans do. Fly.
Wait, are you saying humans are convergently evolving? With what? Birds?
Not quite, but the act of flying itself that has evolved independently in so many lineages, insects, pterosaurs, birds, bats,
Wow.
and us humans with our planes and helicopters, we've basically converged on that same solution, albeit through technology and not biology.
So we're like the latecomers to the flight club copying what nature figured out a long time ago.
That's one way to put it.
But if evolution keeps finding those same solutions, are there any examples where it went in totally different directions? Like
Yeah.
even when facing the same challenges?
That's a great question, and it leads us to some really interesting exceptions to the rule. And we'll explore those in our next segment, along with the incredible story of the evolution of eyes.
Now you're talking. Can't wait. My mind is already blown with all these examples of convergent evolution.
It's pretty wild, isn't it?
It's like everywhere you look in nature, you see those same patterns
It's a beautiful thing.
repeating over and over again. But you mentioned some exceptions
I did.
where evolution took a different path.
Yeah. One of the most striking ones is from Australia,
Oh, yeah.
the land of marsupials.
Right.
For a long time, people thought that marsupials were basically mimicking placental mammals from other places.
okay.
Like you have marsupial moles, marsupial mice. We even talked about the marsupial wolf.
Yeah.
But there's this one iconic Aussie animal that just breaks the mold, the kangaroo.
Oh, kangaroos. Yeah. I
Yeah.
can't really picture them converging on any other mammal form.
Exactly. While other grazing mammals like antelopes and horses,
Right.
they evolved to run on open grasslands, kangaroos took a totally different route.
Yeah, they did.
Upping.
It's so unique.
And that unique way of moving has shaped their whole body plan. Those powerful hind legs, that massive tail for balance.
It's really incredible.
It's a masterpiece of evolution.
So even though the pressure to graze on open grasslands was the same, the kangaroo's evolutionary path took a hard left turn.
You could say that.
And it makes me wonder, if evolution is all about finding the most efficient solution, why didn't kangaroos just converge on running like other grazers?
Well, evolution isn't always about finding the absolute best solution, right?
No.
It's about finding what works
Right.
within the limits of an organism's history.
So what you're saying is kangaroos were already hopping.
Their ancestors were already hopping.
Okay.
And that turned out to be a great way to get around Australia.
So instead of reinventing the wheel,
They just made their hopping even better
yeah.
to become the amazing grazers we see today.
So they were already on a path and it was just easier to keep going that way.
Makes sense, right?
It's fascinating how what happened in the past can shape the future of evolution.
It's a constant reminder that evolution is a historical process.
Yeah.
It highlights that dance between adaptation and constraint. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about another amazing adaptation
Okay.
that's evolved multiple times. Echolocation.
Ooh, echolocation. This is where we talk about bats, right?
You got it. Bats, especially the microbats,
Right.
they have super sophisticated echolocation.
It's like they have a built-in radar.
They emit high-frequency sounds, often too high for us to hear, and then analyze the echoes.
And like make a map of their surroundings with sound.
That's exactly it. It's how they can catch insects in midair in total darkness.
It's mind-blowing.
But here's where the convergence comes in.
Okay.
Bats aren't the only mammals that have figured out echolocation. Toothed whales, dolphins, porpoises.
Wait, dolphins use echolocation too. I thought that was just a bat thing.
It's a textbook example of convergent evolution.
Wow.
These two groups of mammals, separated by millions of years of evolution,
Right.
both came up with the same brilliant solution.
To navigate and find food where they can't see.
It really shows how powerful natural selection is in shaping senses.
So it's not just about physical features evolving, it's about whole sensory systems.
It's incredible, right? And it doesn't stop there. Some shrews, even some cave-dwelling birds, they have simpler forms of echolocation too.
So there are levels of echolocation. Like some animals have the basic version,
You could say that.
and some have, like the deluxe package.
Yeah, it ranges from basic sound orientation to the super precise sonar of bats and dolphins.
Okay, that makes sense.
It shows that evolution works on a spectrum.
And if bats and dolphins both figured out echolocation independently, are there any underlying genetic similarities?
Oh, that's a fantastic question, and it takes us to the exciting world of genetics, where we can actually see the fingerprints of convergent evolution in DNA.
Oh, wow. So we can see it on a molecular level.
Imagine this. We have a gene called Preston.
Yep.
It's super important for hearing in mammals.
Okay.
And guess what? The Preston genes in echolocating bats and dolphins are incredibly similar, even though they're super distantly related.
So even though they evolved echolocation on their own, using that ability has left a mark on their genes.
It's like finding the same signature on two totally different paintings.
Wow. So we're not just comparing fossils and skeletons anymore.
Yep.
We can actually see the genetic echoes of convergent evolution.
It's like having a molecular time machine.
That's amazing. What other secrets are hiding in their DNA?
We're only just beginning to explore that. There are whole fields of research trying to figure out the genetics behind convergence.
I bet.
For example, there's a technique called interspecies GOES, or iGeosis.
Right.
It lets us compare traits and genes across a ton of different species.
So we're looking for patterns across the entire tree of life.
Exactly. And it's already leading to some fascinating findings. For example, a study on hairlessness in mammals.
Right.
It showed that different species lost their hair through different genetic mechanisms.
So they ended up with the same trait, no hair,
Right.
but they got there in different ways.
Exactly. It's another reminder that convergence can happen on multiple levels, from what you see on the outside to the intricate details on the inside.
It's incredible how complex this all is.
And that's what makes convergent evolution so captivating. There's always something new to discover, a new connection to make, a new insight into the amazing tapestry of life on Earth.
I'm totally hooked.
Yeah.
This deep dive has been incredible.
Glad to hear it.
I can't wait to see what other crazy examples are out there.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how we can trace this story of convergent evolution from like what an animal looks like all the way down to its genes.
It is pretty amazing.
It really shows you how everything's connected, you know?
Absolutely.
But I'm sure there are even more mind-blowing examples out there.
Oh, there are so many. Some of them are so strange.
Okay, I'm ready.
They almost seem like they're from science fiction. Like electric fish.
Wait, electric fish? You mean they can actually generate electricity?
Yeah. And it's evolved completely independently in two different groups.
No way.
The gymnotids in South America and the mormyrids in Africa.
That's wild.
They use these electric fields for everything. Navigation, hunting, even communication.
So they have their own built-in radar system.
That's a great way to put it. But to sense the electric fields accurately, their bodies have to be rigid, you know?
Right.
But then how can a fish swim if it can't bend its body?
Yeah, that's a good point. It seems like you can't really have both.
Right. It's a paradox. But evolution's clever.
Okay, the solution. Both groups of these electric fish,
Yeah.
they've evolved a long fin that runs down their body.
Okay.
This fin undulates and propels them through the water while the rest of the body stays stiff.
So they can still sense those electric fields.
Exactly. It's like they split their swimming and sensing systems apart.
It's like they hacked their own bodies.
And to think, this happened twice in completely different parts of the world.
It's incredible.
Isn't it? Shows you how powerful natural selection is.
Yeah. And you know what? The electric sense isn't only in fish.
Oh, that's right.
The platypus has electroreceptors, right?
They do. That crazy duck-billed mammal from Australia,
Yeah.
they've got them too.
I thought those were just for sensing vibrations in the water.
They use them for that, but they also have special ones on their bill
Oh, wow.
that can sense those faint electric fields given off by their prey.
So they can use electricity to hunt.
You got it. Like little crustaceans hiding in the mud.
That's so cool. Are there any other mammals that can do that? There are. Some dolphins,
Of course.
and you guessed it, it evolved independently.
Also,
Amazing, isn't it?
it's like this hidden sense that all these different creatures have tapped into. Makes you wonder what other senses are out there that we don't even know about.
Yeah, that's the thought. Speaking of remarkable adaptations, have you ever heard of the broken wing display?
Broken wing display. What's that?
Picture this, a bird's nesting on the ground.
Okay.
A predator, like a fox, comes along,
Uh-oh.
threatening the bird's chicks. Now, the bird, it can't fight off a fox,
Right.
so it does something really amazing. It pretends to have a broken wing.
Wait, it plays injured. Why would it do that?
It's a distraction. The bird flutters and limps away from the nest,
Oh.
leading the predator away from its chicks. The predator, thinking it's got an easy meal, follows along.
Okay.
Then once the predator is far enough away, the bird suddenly recovers and flies off, leaving the fox totally confused.
That is so clever, like a magic trick to protect its babies.
And guess what? This behavior, it's evolved independently in lots of different bird families,
Really?
all facing the same challenge, protecting their nests from predators.
So it's not just about looking alike, it's about acting alike, too.
Exactly. It shows how natural selection can shape behavior, too.
It makes you realize how smart animals can be.
I know. And this leads us to a final example that really combines behavior and cooperation. Cleaner fish and cleaner shrimps.
Cleaner fish. What do they clean?
These guys, they've developed a special relationship with larger fish.
Okay.
They set up little cleaning stations on reefs.
Like a little car wash?
Exactly. Bigger fish come by to get parasites, dead skin, all that yucky stuff removed.
So it's like a spa day for fish.
You could say that. It's a win-win, right? The
Yeah.
cleaners get a meal and the bigger fish get cleaned up.
Right, but wouldn't the bigger fish just eat the cleaners?
You'd think so, but they don't. It's like they have this agreement. You clean me, I don't eat you.
That's incredible. Like a truce between predator and prey.
And this cleaner behavior, it's popped up in different fish and shrimp families, showing that convergence isn't always about competition.
So sometimes it's about working together.
Exactly. Mutual benefit.
So evolution isn't always a fight. It can be a partnership, too.
Well said. And this whole deep dive into convergent evolution has really shown us how diverse and adaptable life is, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's a story of repeating patterns and surprising twists.
I'm honestly in awe of how creative nature can be.
Me too. And I bet there are countless other examples of convergence waiting to be discovered.
That's the best part. There's always more to explore.
So keep those curious minds engaged, keep those questions coming, and never stop exploring.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's it for our deep dive on convergent evolution. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next